E here from eEats and Healthy Treats with day 16 of the last 40 days of summer with a new salad each day. Today's salad is Bok Choy salad with mango habanero dressing. Don't worry, there's only a slight kick. Unless you want more, then add some more habaneros than I do, plus the seeds. This salad, however, features green leaf lettuce, 2 baby bok choys, lion mane and chestnut mushrooms, water chestnuts, and Asian-style crunchy noodles, with a mango habanero dressing consisting of 1 mango, 1 habanero, 1 tablespoon apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons olive oil, and 3 tablespoons of water. Let's get into it. Starting with the bok choy, I'll cut off the leafy ends and set the rest to the side. Then roughly chop those leaves and I'll add them to a bowl. I'll then repeat this for the other one and then move on to the other side of the bok choy. So to the other end, I will chop them up and remove the stem area. There were some pieces that looked a little dirty, but turns out it was just some speckles on them. Once those are chopped up, I'll add them to a separate bowl than what I put the leaves in. The leaves will be left raw and the ends will be cooked just slightly. Onto the mushrooms, starting with the lion mane. I'm going to cut the tough end off. And I was going to slice these up a bit, but it turned out it was actually just easier to rip them. You just rip them into whatever size pieces you would like. These have a mildly sweet flavor and are said to have a tender texture similar to seafood. Next to the chestnut mushrooms, which look the coolest in my opinion, I'll just cut off the tough end and the rest of it just falls into the pieces that I want. These are also slightly sweet, but also have a nutty flavor, hence their name. The texture is chewy and they have a slight crunch. These will also be put into a separate bowl. Next, we'll cut up the garlic. I like to start by cutting off the section that attaches to the bulb. Then take the side of my knife and either press down hard or smack the side of the knife. This makes it so that skins come off easily. See how they just peel right off? After getting the cutting board cleared off, and my knife as well, we'll slice each one up. And after I do that, I'm going to actually add a little bit of salt. This will help draw out the moisture and will also break up the fibers better. And then we'll mince that up as best we can. Those will also get added to a separate bowl. With a little missing footage, because I was trying to take another angle with a different camera that didn't work out right, we'll peel the carrots. Now I typically use a scrubby cloth to clean them and not peel them after that, but it's in the wash, so we'll use the traditional peeling method. I'll then cut them into 4 equal pieces. I was going to cut these differently and then decided to do rounds. So you'll see on the narrow end, I decided to just slice them into rounds. So I do that on the thinner end, but then on the thicker I will, since I already sliced in half, I'll go ahead and slice those up. But had I done the whole thing, I would have cut off just the narrow part, and then for the larger part I would have cut them in half and then cut them into half rounds. So we'll add those to the bowl with our leaves of the bok choy, and then on to habanero. So I'll put a glove on for this one. I cut off the stem and then cut them in half, and then I'll slide the knife on the inside to remove those seeds. I will not be cutting this up any further because they will be going into a blender. As for the second habanero though, we will wait on that one. If we want a little bit more kick later, we can add it, but better to start out small. Peppers can have a different heat level per pepper. It's said that in hotter weather, when they're vine ripened, they can be hotter, so cooler weather, cooler pepper, hotter weather, hotter pepper. If you like spice, add what you like, and also add the seeds. You can put them in as whole, just make sure you cut off the stem first, of course, you decide. Then the mango seems to be just ripe, I can tell because it has a little give when you press on it. This one seems to be ripe, but could have maybe waited another day or two after cutting into it. It was not very juicy, which tells me it needed a few more days. So I'll skin the mango. I think of my grandma actually when I do this, the one that lived just down the field from me, when she used to peel fruit or potatoes. I can envision her now sitting there peeling potatoes in her kitchen. She used to make big batches of mashed potatoes for our family get-togethers, which were literally for every holiday. All 23 of us would squeeze into her small house. She would always put a big dab of butter on top and some black pepper. That butter then would melt down into the spuds, but of course the first person would always take that spoonful with the butter on top. So back to the mango. These have a flat round seed inside, which you will not be able to pull out. However, maybe if you live somewhere where these are grown ripe, maybe you can. I don't know. Comment below if you happen to be that person that knows. That final little bit of peel there. So we'll take our French knife now and we will slice long ways, but just offset from the center a little bit. If you hit the seed, that's okay, just move the knife over a bit more and try again. And then we'll repeat on the other side as well. If there is tender fruit, cut it off if you can. Just make sure to always keep your other hand behind the blade and cut away from you. And the seed, once you can get cut down to it, it is white. And really that mango is good down to the seed. So I still see there's a little bit of squishiness, which means there's some more mango I can cut off that seed. Any leftover yummy fruit on the seed you can chew off with your teeth and enjoy a sweet treat. And whoa, that had a little bit of kick. Probably because there's a little bit of habanero remnants on the knife. Either way, it was yummy. This will be going into a blender, so I'll just roughly chop it. Now let's add the mango and habanero to the blender. And don't forget the habaneros are spicy, so we do not want to touch them with our bare hands. So after all the mangoes in there, I'm going to take my paring knife and use it to pick up those habaneros. We'll then add our other two ingredients, the olive oil and the vinegar. Now let's blend that. I did stop and scrape down the sides a few times. I also thought it was pretty thick, so I added about 3 tablespoons of water to thin it out a bit. But only add if you need to. Remember, this mango was not very juicy. Typically when I cut into a mango, there's some juice left on the cutting board, and this was not the case. So in that case, you may not need water. If you do need water, make sure you only add a little bit at a time, because we don't want this to get too runny. And then behind me is a tripping hazard. Over the stove, over medium-high heat, I'll add the sesame oil and then the garlic. I use about 2 or 3 tablespoons of sesame oil here. I did add a little bit more just because I thought I didn't have enough. I am using a stick-proof pan, so you also can use a little bit less oil if doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and add the bok choy ends in. We'll cook that until they're just ever so slightly tender. So I'll stir that up for a while. Move on to the mushrooms and add those in. I'm only going to toss these around for a little bit to add some of the flavor from the sesame oil and the garlic. We'll then remove those from the pan and put it into a bowl. And yes, I do remember to pick up that mushroom that was on the range. All right, so let's dish this up. I'll tear up a few leaves of the lettuce. And add in the bok choy lettuce, or leaves rather, and the carrots. Then on to our cooked bok choy and mushrooms. Add a few more mushrooms in there. And I'm going to add a few more carrots in there for presentation, color, texture, taste. We'll then add in the water chestnuts. And these were just from a can. I don't know if you can get them anywhere raw. I've only ever seen them in a can. So we'll sprinkle on some of those crispy noodles. Give it our added crunch. And then I'm just going to spoon on the dressing. It's still kind of thick, so we'll just spoon it on rather than pouring it on and having a huge clump in there. And maybe just a little bit more there as well. We'll mix that all together. And give it a taste. This had excellent flavor. The bok choy was great. The mushrooms were amazing. The crispy noodles added that extra crunch we needed, and the dressing paired well with the sweet mango flavor and the little kick from the habanero, which was actually very tame. So again, don't worry about making this. It might be a little bit stronger when you taste it by itself, but in the end, mixed with everything else, really could hardly tell there was any tang to the, or any spiciness from the habanero. Until later, be blessed and act with love. Enjoy!